Hi there. So we just had a massive Eterna session, and I thought I might as well summarize things just so next session doesn't end absolutely crazy, because good God, we did a heck of a lot of stuff, because I wasn't able to make it to session, so I thought we might as well have at least a little bit of an adventure. That being said, we started this week's Eterna session with Tarek just getting out of the stun. He shook his head a bit as he rubbed his temples and shook off the psionic stun of the Mind Flayer. Oh, fuck. Oh, what do you need, Yushin? Are you hurt? And Yushin responded, I don't think the bad guys even noticed me, to be honest. Besides that, should we check on Caius? If James knew about him, he probably wouldn't. If James would have probably wanted to wipe out all the Sentinels. I was definitely planning on getting some sleep, especially with this headache I have now. And that's a concerning thought, Yusjin. You aren't wrong, especially since I saw some of those weird masked fellows run off and the tentacled freak died. As they should, because we kicked their asses, Fred said while cleaning his great sword. Heck yeah, man. How'd you like being huge? Well, first time I ever did see something happen like that was on Razin. I just kind of freaked out. But experiencing it felt good. I haven't actually used one of those spells on me before, to be perfectly honest. It was certainly something to see. Thank you kindly for not stepping on us small folk while so large, by the way. I was watching you all through my owl. Oh, Fred, you haven't actually met Caius Awake yet, have you? Once we wake him up, it'll be your first time meeting him. Is he okay? Because the guy's been asleep for a couple of days. Not a dang clue. Well, he has been since we arrived, which I believe was a week ago now. Well, where I come from, if a person's been asleep for a week, we just bury him. But this feels different. What do you mean? Well, if a person doesn't look they're alive for a week, we usually take their body, get it ready for burying them in the grave. But from what I've seen the past few weeks, anything could be possible at this point. You think you've seen some crazy shit, Fred? Live with us for a few more weeks and I guarantee you'll laugh at this moment. Well, it could be part of the effects of the grog, Gothy spoke as she shrugged her shoulders. As far as I'm aware, that stuff can do basically anything. And Tobias just casually snorts rockets a jelly bean out of his nose. And Houston responds, Caius can use forest critters as instruments because of that grog. And Fred began rubbing his hands. Could you guys fill me in on something? What's up? I remember fighting that weird squid thingy, but then everything got a little blurry and I woke up, I was hitting myself, and then that squid thing was dead. What happened? Wait, you weren't conscious? No, why did I do something? Did I hurt someone? No, man. Your arm just went nuts. I thought you were controlling it yourself. Fred lifted his arm and glanced at it. I mean, this thing didn't exactly come with an instruction manual, so I don't know what other crazy shit this thing can do. Fred's arm then made a faint whirring noise and beeped a bunch. Fred gave a worrisome smile and said, "Good job, arm," and he high-fived himself. What's it called? What's it called? The arm beeps a bit more. Yusjin beeps respondingly. And Tobias jumps in and says, "Don't give it ideas, Fred." Like what? Crushing that squid thing? You don't know what these contraptions got their thoughts from. It's not wood. You know exactly what wood is thinking. I could grow you a nice wooden arm if you wished. Yusjin looked up to two of them with just blank eyes. Fred gestured to Yusjin and gave him a thumbs up. Then it gestured to Tobias and gave him a thumbs down. Gothy also looked at Tobias and said, "Well, what about Kathy? She's made of metal." Tobias responds, I was never totally comfortable with that, but I made an exception for her. Fred held down his arm. Kathy's no more metal than we are flesh and blood. She's one of us. The party tries to understand the beeps and boots coming from the arm. They do not. Fred decides to place a pencil and paper in front of his own arm, at which point he then writes down a note with his robo-arm saying, "Don't trust the goat hippie." It has a drawing of Tobias ripping off Fred's arm. Eugen more or less just laughs at that. Tobias responds, hey, you just wrote that. Not me. The arm. It'll hurt you. At this point, Tarek just kind of steps in on their nonsense and says, well, that's intriguing. I think I'm going to go ask the Regent something before we head back to the inn. I'll be right back since I just want to find something out for right now. I didn't get a chance to speak with him when I was wearing off the effects of that scream. The rest of the party headed back towards the Manicor's Tail for some drinking and fun. Tarek decided to head back towards the battlefield. Things appeared to be much the same as he left them, with various people moving around, moving corpses, and a much larger presence of the Magnemarian Guard.